When might we see Bubba Chandler up with the Pirates? Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FPT Express on Thursday, May 8th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. The top prospects to stash right now: Bubba Chandler, Roman Anthony, Jordan Lawler, Logan Henderson, and Dalton Rushing. Scott, it feels like we are getting close on Bubba Chandler.
Yeah, this is my bold prediction. I think this is the last time we'll be talking about Bubba Chandler in the prospects report. I'm not saying he won't get another start in the minors, but he will get another start in the minors, and that'll probably be the last one. So by the time we're recording this, we'll already know he's coming up. And the reason I think this is true is because A, he continues to dominate down there, but more importantly, B, 71 pitches in his last start. It was a second straight 5-inning start, so the ramp up is going strong here. The most, to use the same analog we've been using all along, Paul Skeens, the most pitches he threw in a minor league start before getting called up last year, remember it was on May 11th he made his major league debut, so just by the calendar, we're getting there for Chandler. But pitch count-wise, 75 was the most Skeens threw, and Chandler's at 71 now. So right there, I think it's happening very, very soon.
All right. I did notice Dalton Rushing also on this list, and the Dodgers had a injury recently to Teoscar Hernandez. They opted to go with James Outman, but man, we're trying to find a way, Scott, to get Dalton Rushing up with the Dodgers.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like the ship has already sailed. So I don't know. There hasn't been a clear-cut number 5 on this 5 on the Verge. Did you read off all 5, by the way? Or no, I can't. You did. Okay. All right, so I'll get into some of the others here, but we'll start with Rushing. So the Teoscar Hernandez injury, the day before it happened, Dalton Rushing got his first start in left field this season. Remember, he got a lot of starts there at the end of last season. I think they weren't sure what they were going to get from Tommy Edman at that point, so they wanted a backup plan. So Dalton Rushing is already acclimated to that position, but it's funny that just the day before Hernandez got hurt, he finally started there this year. And obviously they called up James Outman instead. It sounds like it's only going to be a 2-week absence for Hernandez, so it might not be the ideal time to bring up Rushing anyway. But 24 years old, he's overdue for this. He's reached base at a .435 clip at AAA, just hit his 4th home run on Wednesday, and obviously is a catcher-eligible player, 2 catcher leagues. It'd be a must, maybe even 1 catcher leagues if you've been hurting there. The upside is certainly exists for Dalton Rushing to make an impact. So it's got to happen at some point. I don't think now is the time, but one less obstacle in his way with Teoscar Hernandez getting hurt. Obviously, more obstacles have been introduced for Jordan Lawler. He's still on the list because his minor league numbers are ridiculous, and he's overdue for a debut, I would say, or not debut, but a final arrival in the majors. With Ketel Marte coming back, I noticed they've shifted Lawler over to third base primarily at AAA. And Eugenio Suarez, apart from that 4-homer game, has done next to nothing. Certainly since the calendar flipped to April, and now we're in May. So it's been a long stretch of nothing with that isolated event of the 4-homer game for Eugenio Suarez in the final year of control for the Diamondbacks. That might be Lawler's path of least resistance at this point. I still think an injury is probably what's going to happen to get him up, but keep an eye on how things are going for Suarez, because that is one possibility. Roman Anthony still on this list because he's arguably the top prospect in baseball, and some people might think, okay, Tristan Casas injury, the path is clear for him, but he's an outfielder, Anthony, not a first baseman. And they've pretty much ruled out the idea of playing him there at first base. They haven't totally ruled out the idea of Rafael Devers playing first base. Manager Alex Cora basically shot it down, but GM Craig Breslow seemed more open to it. And certainly that seems like just the most logical solution to the first base problem they're in, is having Devers do that. because that might be his eventual destination anyway, unless they just want him to DH forever, which seems like a waste. So we'll see how that shakes out. That would sort of open a path for Anthony because it would free up DH spot, and they could rotate 4 outfielders through that DH spot and get Anthony's bat in the lineup that way. So it's something to keep an eye on there. Anthony's been okay lately at AAA. It's kind of been banged up, but obviously huge upside there. Logan Henderson, the other one here, the 5th name. Unfortunately, right at the moment, Quinn Priester seems to have cost himself the job in the rotation. Brandon Woodruff's on the verge of coming back. Now, I don't think it's going to go well for Woodruff. His velocity's down like 3 miles per hour. Torn shoulder capsule. That's a difficult injury to come back from. But he's obviously going to get the chance. He's a franchise icon, is Woodruff. So when Henderson's going to have to wait for that. I would guess he's probably up with the next injury. I think he leapfrogs Priester. I think he definitely has the advantage over Jacob Mizorowski, who's not on the 40-man roster yet. But we're going to have to wait a little longer for Henderson with Woodruff coming back.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in FBT Express. Before we get to the prospects on the periphery, Scott, just wanted to give you an opportunity to quickly talk about Joe Boyle, who apparently is destroying the minors right now.
He is. And he's not technically a prospect. I'm not totally opposed to putting him on the prospect report, even though he's technically not anymore because he's thrown too many innings in the majors. But for now, anyway, I'm keeping him out of the 5 on the verge. He might be the most stashable minor league pitcher apart from Bubba Chandler, truth be told, because he is just crushing it at AAA. And of course, we've known Boyle has big strikeout potential, big upside. He threw 5 no-hit innings, the 1 spot start he made in the majors this year, and then followed it up with 6 no-hit innings at AAA. And since then, 2 more quality starts, including a 10 strikeout, no walk effort on Friday. And the walks, the control is the big key for Boyle here, because that's always been his kryptonite. It's kept that sensational stuff from mattering. But last 4 starts, beginning with those 5 no-hit innings in the majors, 65% strike rate for Boyle. There's just dramatic improvement. 20% swinging strike rate during that time, which is comical. The Rays are great at fixing problematic players, and they may have done it with Boyle. So definitely, even though he's technically not a prospect, definitely don't want to forget about him here.
All right, the prospects on the periphery. These are some names that are just doing something lately, doing something good, hopefully. Jack Caglione of the Royals, Colby Thomas of the Athletics, Gage Jump also of the Athletics, Kyle DeBarge of the Twins, and Felipe De La Cruz of the Mets. Scott, a little rapid fire here, but what do you have on this group?
So Caglione's been playing some outfield recently, and that is an unexpected development. It's a way he could potentially arrive before late August when rosters, when the Royals wouldn't mind him being a part-time player because they're just kind of getting a sneak peek for next year. But outfield might be a way to fit him in. He's still just at AA, so I don't think he's on the verge, but something to keep an eye on there. Colby Thomas, huge power hitter for the Athletics. Had a 471-foot home run Friday, and that's like tape measure home runs where the outfielder just stands and watches it go are kind of the norm for Colby Thomas. But he's bad plate discipline guy. That's why you don't hear more about him. I think a best case scenario is something like Chris Davis, meaning Chris Davis, but the one with a K who used to star for the Athletics. That's kind of what I'm hoping for with Colby Thomas, but bad plate discipline, you never know. It could sink the whole thing. Gage Jump was the Athletics' 2nd-round pick last year. I like to say Gage Jump is the most basic thing you're looking to do in a Super Mario Brothers game, but it's also the name of this Athletics pitcher who has 20 or 19 inches of induced vertical break on the fastball, low release height from left-handed delivery, 2 swing and miss breaking balls that play well off each other. And he's put up great numbers at high A. It needs to be tested at the upper levels, of course, but kind of reminds me of Shota Imanaga. Does Gage jump just watching him pitch? So that's a name to know. Kyle DeBarge was the Twins. He's the 33rd overall pick in last year's draft. Very I'm already seeing Luke Keeschel reminders here, and obviously the Twins developed Keeschel. I think they were probably looking for something similar in Kyle DeBarge, who and what I mean by Luke Keeschel, great plate discipline, more walks than strikeouts, but good at both. A lot of stolen bases. The exit velocities are lacking, but really good at pulling the ball, elevating the ball to his pull side, which helps the power play beyond the exit velocities. So he still has a ways to go just in high A himself, is Kyle DeBarge, but I think it's worth talking about him now. Finally, Felipe De La Cruz for the Mets had a really strong AAA debut, 23 years old. This big, sweepy breaking ball that nobody can touch, and a fastball that peaks at 97. But really, it's just to keep hitters honest on the breaking ball. I'm not sure it'll work in the majors. He may be destined for a relief role, Felipe De La Cruz, but the numbers are impressive enough this year, and he's already at AAA. I think there's a chance he could be an emergency play for the Mets at some point.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.